Hello. Welcome
Hello.
back to the Strength of G podcast. I am here with Georgia Munroe today. I will do a little intro in case you don't know who she is, or just to remind you all the great things about Georgia. So, Georgia is an exceptional parkour athlete and stunt performer. She began training parkour back in 2012. At one point, she had one of the biggest jumps, if not the biggest jump in parkour among women. And she really made a big impact on the parkour community, so I'm very excited to be chatting to her today. Georgia coached with Esprit Concrete for over 6 years and then transitioned into the world of stunts, which has now become her full time career, and she will tell us more about. Her credits include Wonder Woman, Jurassic World Dominion, The Marvels, and many more. She's been a bit quieter in the parkour scene lately, so today I'm really excited to catch up with her and hear a bit more about what she's been up to. So, Georgia, thank you so much for making time for this. Really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Awesome. So, I guess we can jump straight in with your
Yeah.
parkour training. Does that still happen? What's you've gone missing,
Well,
and we
let's
all
just
want
get
to know
straight
where
to the
you are.
point.
Yes.
um,
Are you still training parkour?
yes and no. So, uh, long story short, the reason I've been quiet is because I have been for the last few years. When I transitioned to stunts, I've been training for what's called the British Stunt Register over here. To qualify onto that, which puts you on the registry and you become like an official stunt person, you need 6 skills. And for instance, the ones I've done so far: horse riding, scuba diving, swimming just passed. I've got climbing to do, taekwondo, and then either you can put in your set days, which I've been privileged enough to work and have that, but then if not that, you'd have to do another skill. So what I learned very quickly was it's very difficult to manage 12-hour, sometimes 13-hour days work or night shoots on top of training skills that, some you never done. I didn't even know how to do a front crawl. And then next, you're having to train for this test that is brutal. And then on top of that, then trying to keep up with the level of training I was doing for parkour. At
Mm-hmm.
the beginning of it, I tried to manage the coaching side of it, the training side of it, on top of transitioning into stunts and all that came with that. And I was burning out basically. So it was kind of I've made my bed, I need to lie in it situation, and also you can't have your cake and eat it.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely not done with parkour, but it's definitely had to take a back seat in general training whilst I gain the other skills that are going to basically keep me in the game for what I'm now doing, which is stunts.
Yeah.
But absolutely, once I'm finished that, it feels like it's got one more year left to it. I'll finally have the space again to train what I want without having to focus on these tests. So I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to bringing it back into my life a lot more regularly. But yeah, that's
Cool.
why I've been quiet.
But totally fair as well, especially like if you're burning out and it is a lot to like well, I think it's a lot just working in stunts. Like it sounds like it's long hours and yeah, like you say, night shoots. Parkour training, obviously you can do as much or as little as you want, but then on top of that, coaching, on top of that, trying to pass all these skills, which we know those of us who have like I haven't personally looked into the British Stunt Register, but I've had people around me training for it and it's a really long journey. And you want to
It's
make it as short as possible, I imagine, which means just
yeah.
like getting them done.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, and training
Gets
a lot.
longer with the work as well, so it's just
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah,
So,
that's the reason, guys.
what are you? Yeah, good, good to know. But what does your training look like now? What are you training for at the moment? You said you just done your swimming and past that, which is
Yeah.
like standard swimming or the high diving.
No, it's evil. If you ask anyone who's training stunts if they're doing swimming, it's I'd say if not the most brutal. It's one of the most brutal tests. Initially, I was supposed to do my trampolining, but and I guess I'll talk about it a bit more as we move along. But the whole having your cake and not eating it situation, I feel like the universe gave me two events in particular to make sure that was hounded in as a lesson because I really miss training park. I really miss that community. Of course, I want to be in it as much as possible, but I also really love stunts, and I know that I need to commit to the skills of that. So I had this really big, like, it's been a really big, I guess, an ego trip, but also just psychologically, quite a journey of realizing how much I miss it, and also the fact that you can't just jump into it willy nilly. Parkour can be quite intense on your body, and if it's not something you're
Mhm.
training daily, and your body isn't then conditioned for it, bad things can
Mm.
happen. So when I was
Mhm.
training parkour a lot, even though I was taking bashes or you'd have the falls here or there and you get pretty battered up, nothing ever snapped or broke. And then when I tried to jump into it or go for a day of training, because I heard some people were training, I thought, I'm working tomorrow, I'll go there. Things started snapping. So the most recent one was the Achilles tendon. I snapped my right tendon. So I then I couldn't work for 5 months. I couldn't do the trampolining test. And it was either go stir crazy or try this horrible swim test instead. But
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
for instance, the training for that looked like it went from 3 to almost 5 days a week of always going to swim
yeah,
clubs, lessons, after doing 10-hour work days, getting in the pool, swimming. So it was literally
yeah,
swim, eat, sleep every day. And it was really grueling, but I'd say it's the one that I'm most proud about because of
hmm
how much work it took to do it.
yeah.
And
That makes
now
sense.
I'm on my kind of the last leg of the race. So I've
Yeah,
got my climbing to do. I started climbing as of 2 days ago. So that's fun. And just seeing what that's going to look like. It won't be as intense as swimming, but it's still something that I need to then travel out to the peaks a lot, get those climbs in, learn about a whole different skill again. So that's the other
yeah,
thing. Psychologically, you've spent so much time on one skill and then you jump to the next, and it's a
yeah.
whole different world of learning again.
It
So
sounds
yeah,
really
training.
fun. Like so cool to be able to just like I don't know, like I can swim, but I wouldn't say I can swim for long periods of time, and or I don't feel strong at it. So to be able to just like, okay, we're gonna do a deep dive, spend 3 months, or I don't know how long it was, but just swimming and just getting better at swimming.
Yeah, yeah. It's I really like give my hat off to the trainees in general because even some people are coming from backgrounds. A lot of them are coming from backgrounds already have martial arts and so on, but there are people who have just come from like an office job, and suddenly they're thrown into learning high diving, scuba, horse riding, climbing, swimming. It's a really tough journey, and it takes
Hmm.
a lot of kind of like grit, consistency. When you get injured, having to get back into it.
Hmm.
Um, it's yeah, I've learnt a lot about a
Hmm.
lot of different worlds now, whereas before it was only parkour, so it was all
Yeah,
things parkour. Now it's like the world has
yeah.
just opened up to just how many, amazing different people there are and different kind of
Hmm.
communities all coming together. So it really is like
And
an amazing hub for a mixture of people.
yeah, and you broke up at one point, so I missed exactly what you said. But you said you came back to training for one day, just yeah, on a so as a social thing, like to go and have
Yeah,
fun and train parkour. And you did you say snapped your right Achilles?
yeah, yeah,
But like full rupture?
yeah.
Really? Just
Yeah,
from going back. That's
it was
really
Sunday
interesting.
XXL actually. It was the last
Yeah.
Sunday
No, I
XXL
do know
race.
the occasion. I wasn't sure what the outcome had been. I wasn't there, but I remember hearing that you'd come to training and then hearing that you'd got injured. But that's
Yeah.
a really interesting point that like you were physically very fit. It's not like you'd been sat at home not training for 2 years. It was
Mm.
just a different type of training and therefore and you hadn't exposed the body to your body to like the impacts and the types of angles that we use or land in parkour. And you think
Yeah.
that's probably what it just wasn't you weren't exposed and resilient to that type of impact.
Yeah, it was that. It was my mindset had still been, and I think that's definitely the ego talking as well, of being like, I should be able to do this jump. I should do that. I knew how to do that. Like, this is things that I've done before or I could do. And if I was in, a few years back where all I'd done was training parkour, absolutely my body would have had a fine day. It would have been fine. But it was the idea that I'd still been training, but my body had been adapting to different things. So at the time I was doing trampolining, which is, sprung floor, a lot more stretching, a lot more of the trampoline giving you a boost. And suddenly I'm now whacking my body at hard concrete again. It literally was it just snapped. It just wasn't ready for that same. There's a different speed to it when you absorb on hard ground compared to
Yeah.
trampoline.
Yeah.
And because before all it was parkour, I hadn't understood that situation. All
Yeah.
I knew is my body's been moving. I feel fit, but my body had been
Hmm.
adapting to different things. And suddenly I've gone, here you go, have a hard wall. And
Yeah.
it just wasn't ready for it. So, I mean, it's healed now. I think it's more of a psychological thing of getting it back to knowing how much it can take.
Yeah.
I really do. I think I've learnt to appreciate my body a lot more
Yeah. Yeah.
because luckily it's been very good to me.
Yeah.
It's healed really well. But yeah, I need to give it more love and kind of understand
Yeah.
that, okay, if I'm putting it through one thing, I can't expect it to then perform at a high level in a whole different environment again. And yeah, trying to match the mindset with actually what is your body kind of ready for, what is it focusing on at the moment, because you can't just force it to do things willy-nilly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I agree. I relate to that. It's like you always want more and it's exciting to push yourself and step outside your comfort zone. But then also sometimes I have to remind myself like I should be really grateful that my body is in a really good shape and that there's a lot I can do that sometimes I just take for granted, and then the moment it's
Yeah.
gone, you're like, "Oh, I wish I'd appreciated that more." So
Oh, there
yeah.
goes that foot. Oh no, there goes that Achilles.
Yeah. Hopefully that was a good lesson to learn early on in your career.
Yeah, still young enough to heal enough, but yeah,
Yeah. So
definitely
the
not
next
there.
question, there's I'll put them together actually because it's one was about like what are you up to currently, what are you working on or just finished working on, and then the second question that I thought was interesting is someone asked, do you get to do a lot of parkour stunts in your job, or is it mainly other types of stunts like wire work, fights,
Mm.
falls? So yeah, maybe those two.
Yeah. So I'll start with the first one, just 'cause I've got the memory of goldfish. So obviously we signed a lot of NDAs, so I'm not gonna, just in case, because a lot of things I've been
Mm.
working on now don't come out till next year. So currently, at the moment, we had some strikes a year back in the industry, and that's kind of caused quite an ebb
Oh
and
yeah.
flow. And
Oh
obviously, the current climate has had an impact. I'd say it's starting to kick up again. It's I've done a lot. Well, usually I do a lot of TV. There's obviously lots of TV, a lot of Netflix going on, a lot of streaming, and then mocap as well. Nice bits of mocap there for games, and then
which is
movies
like
and
motion
the rest of that.
capture.
Yeah, so for
They're using
any
your
of the game
body
stuff
to
or any
create.
stuff that's data. Yeah. Um, so I do a lot of that. I have some mocap next week. This week I was where the hell was I? It gets very confusing where you are. It all becomes a bit of a fever dream. Last week I was on a TV show. This week I was helping with a TV show. Yeah, so it's all a bit. You end up jumping all over the place. So yeah, it's whatever's happening. Not much commercial, to be honest. I used to at the start,
Hmm.
like when I was only doing parkour, it's commercials and live shows and things. But those are very occasional now. So it is mostly just flitting between TV shows or movies or games, and just whatever comes along, really.
Hmm.
Um, and then the second question was, oh, how much parkour I use? Mm, I would really love to be used for specific parkour. It's kind of something that irks me because it was what brought me into the stunt world, was being brought in as a parkour specialist or because of my parkour skills. So I thought, oh yeah, great. I can, be a proper nerd now. I can wear costumes and do parkour. And then I learned very quickly, no, that's not the bread and butter. That's quite a specific thing. You can't just do kongs here and there. Also, when you're doubling female characters, it's changed over the years, but it used to be a lot more if they were more the damsels or like their kind of areas of strength was being really slick with a gun or weapons and things, but not necessarily showcasing them as like powerful movers, like doing jumps and all that stuff. So that was a lot more specific.
Mhm.
So yeah, I wish I could use it a bit more, be hired specifically for that. Most of the time I'm hired, I'm doing a lot of fighting, a lot of taking hits, a lot of wire work. But
Mhm.
to be honest, because of how parkour teaches about body mechanics, how to move your body, it's always, I'm technically always using it. It has always been what's helped me do the overall performance. Because whether it's taking hits or stuff, we're used to hitting concrete. And now you go to stunts, and I thought it was amazing. They were putting mats down for us. You could wear pads underneath. I was like, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, now I'm fully like, ooh, I'm gonna put my pads on. But at the beginning, I was like, I'll just hit the floor because we're used to concrete so much.
Yeah.
It was quite a
Yeah, yeah,
shock.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, absolutely. Now I definitely would rather not have to. I'll put my pads
Yeah.
on.
Yeah. Especially because
Mm.
I guess when you're shooting for a film, potentially it's not one take, and potentially you're going from cold as well. I guess you're like sat down waiting for your call, then you get called up and they just want to shoot it, and you're like,
Yeah,
I need to warm up or not. But then I guess the pads help for
yeah.
that.
The longevity is important because for us, I
Yeah.
think that was the other thing. Like if I'd come in for a little parkour day, like meet some friends and then just go for a jump, I forgot just how much DOMS impacts us. Or like if I have the odd day and I'll go down to Rugby Parkour Park, even if it's
Yeah.
just a light session, the amount of like impact we put our bodies through in parkour is something that I'm appreciating a lot more, having not been in it as much anymore. Because
Yeah.
you do that constantly on a job. You know, you're doing 10-hour days all the time and it
Yeah.
can be grueling. It can go over for weeks. So,
Yeah.
yeah, wherever you can, you try and keep the
Yeah.
longevity of your body in a good kind of, not too sore, not too bruised, because you need it to keep moving as if you're not battered. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a different mindset to why it's not necessarily that you can't take the hit, it's that would you rather be absolutely bruised for the next month or maintain a higher health for your body so that you can continue giving your best
Yeah.
performance.
Makes
So yeah,
sense. I feel it a lot with like events, or even more like if you're coaching at events, when it's like 3, 4, 5 days in a row and you're like in front of people talking, like giving energy to the group, training, potentially training in the breaks, because you still want to train and also you want to join the community that maybe you're visiting. And then by day two, I'm like, okay, I'm really sore. I've still got to demonstrate. I've still got to give energy to the group. And then when the
yeah.
jam comes around, actually, the last event I coached at, I did take part in all the jams,
Wow.
but there was a specific event that had like from 1 till 5, there was a break every day because it was so hot. So at
Mm,
least, whereas a lot of events, they just go all day. So
yeah.
I think that 1 till 5 break was probably really good.
It's
But yeah,
nice.
normally I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to anyone. I don't want to train, but also I do.
I couldn't understand how some of the like more experienced, obviously more experienced coaches, but how they can just keep going because after coaching a whole day and stuff, and then everyone wants to train, and you're like, "Ugh, I just want to sit
Yeah,
in a room and hide,
yeah,
or going out to dinner after, going out to people want to party, and you're like, I just let me sit in a room
yeah,
and sleep. That is a
yeah.
serious
When I
endurance.
come back, I usually just stay at home alone for like at least a day. Don't want to talk to anyone. Just want to rest.
Wow, that's
But yeah,
that's brutal.
but it's good. It's also great, and I love it. Um, well, have you sustained any injuries while doing stunts?
No, not really. Touch wood. Luckily, my
Yeah,
whole house is made out of wood, so I can touch this wood.
yeah.
Touch the wood. Um, I have, I've had the odd blackout of like getting hit too hard or something, or the bruises are normal. Twisting occasionally, like an ankle twist, because you're doing so much fighting and moving around people that sometimes you will just, an ankle roll out. Um, so I've
Mm.
had that before where I've had some nasty ankle rolls or
But also
fallen
because things
out.
are soft sometimes, which actually can sometimes make it easier to roll your ankle, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not a fan of those ones where the floor you can. I mean, props departments and stuff are incredible. They can make a whole set look like it's all normal concrete floor, but it's all soft cushioning, so that when you're having to
Mm.
take wire hits and stuff, you can, there's some sort of cushioning to the floor. But yeah, it can get. There's so many props on set. There's so much more to deal with in the environment that yeah, you have to be careful of where you're stepping on or for riot scenes where people are falling over, you know, and you've got extras running over you, so you're probably getting an odd head kick or something. So it can get scary in those situations when there's loads of people and the energy's high because there's acting going on and it's a mixture of stunts and extras, and there's been those ones where you just come out bad, or someone swung an axe in your head by accident and just but I wouldn't say any that have really damaged me. I think that the two I've
Yeah.
sustained two bad injuries. One was the ankle dislocation, one was the Achilles tendon. And on both those occasions, it was me. The first one was after a load of night shoots, going, oh, okay, I'm just gonna go do parkour, and then that one, and then the second one also being like, I'm just gonna do parkour, I'm just gonna throw myself. So it was actually, hence why I say they were probably the repeat of the same lesson I was supposed to learn
Yeah.
about that. But yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
luck. I've been so far.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah.
That's good. They've looked after you. Same ankle or different ankle?
I
Okay.
got
Well, at least you
both
split it
sides
out.
beat. I got this side, the ankle dislocated, but the Achilles was pretty intact.
Fine. And it
My
stayed out
physio
or it went straight
actually,
back in?
huh?
Did it stay
The
out
what?
dislocated or did it go straight back in?
Yeah, for a bit. It was out for a bit.
Mm.
It was actually at IMAX, so it was at IMAX.
Nice.
I think it was like basically I was on a few night shoots and I'd seen Katie McDonald on that night shoot because she does stunts as well. And her and Lynn, I think they were going to do just they were just working on a parkour project separately where they just wanted to go film a few athletes, talk about parkour and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And I was like, oh crap, I need to think of something I want to do. And my IMAX was near the location, so I went the next day, not taking into the fact that I'm knackered, not taking into the fact that I haven't trained, and then just being like, ugh, let me just try a jump. Landed it, bounced back. You know, it's kind of sloped on the thing.
Mm.
Bounced back, just landed, and my ankle just went, it just fell out, which was interesting. I didn't think they
So
could do.
annoying when it's
Yeah.
like that's not it's not even a move. It's just
Not even a move.
it's something that like should be fine, but it is like I didn't
Yeah.
dislocate, but had a sub ankle subluxation, like where it kind of almost pops out and back in.
Oh,
And
yeah.
but it was the same. It wasn't doing the jump. It was stepping off the wall.
Yeah, it's the one bit where you're like, your brain goes, and then it just goes,
And it was like it's so frustrating. It's so underwhelming, and you're like,
yeah. I've had
what?
ones before. I remember like when you take you do a particular nasty jump or something and it didn't go well and you felt yourself take a hit and you go, oh, please, you look down, you're like, please, nothing. Oh, okay, I'm good. This is the one time I went, oh, please. Oh, and I just saw my foot bottom looking back at me and I was like, that's no. That's not enough. That's not no. And my partner Eric was with me, and he was just like, "Oh God!" So that was a
Wow.
whole ordeal to the
Wow.
hospital, and then they popped it back in. I
Yeah. Good.
was very
Oh,
high on painkillers throughout that
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What was I going to ask you? Let's move on to how did you
Sorry,
get
guys.
into stunts? How did this whole new chapter start?
Mm. Um. So it was through parkour that I got into stunts. Did you know Fizzhood? Did you
Yeah.
ever get to meet Fizz? So when I first started doing parkour, you had some of the the OG coaches. Fizzhood was there. She wasn't there for very long because that's when she was transitioning into stunts. So she left pretty early on in my journey. But when I first did my first like women's class with PHN, she was one of the coaches. So I'd done some classes with her when I was younger, and then she obviously disappeared. I didn't know where she disappeared because I didn't know about stunts. And then at one point, further down the line, when I was with Esprit Concrete, we got a phone call, and Fizz had been asked if I'd like to come to an audition.
Hmm.
She said they just needed some parkour people because the apparatus was basically a giant scaffolding, so they couldn't have wires or anything. So they needed people comfortable jumping at height without wires, parkour people. So I didn't know that was the Wonder Woman 1984 one. So I turn up to
Hmm.
this massive, I think it was Pinewood Studios, which is this
Hmm.
huge studio. I was seeing all these like really cool. I had no idea what the hell anything was. Turned up, they had some scaffolding. I did some moves, and in that audition, I met some key people that helped me later on. So there was Ayana, who's a stunt lady, and there's also Maria Hippolyte, who's a stunt lady. So I'd met them there. I got the job, which was amazing. Katie was there as well. And then that was my first job. And that was quite a eye opener.
Quite a big first job as well.
Yeah, it was huge. I was pretty overwhelmed, I'd say. Really, I was quite out of my depth because there's so much more to being a stunt person than just simply turn up and move. Even in commercials, you turn up, you put the costume, you do the move, all good. But there's so much more to it. Understanding the hierarchy of the system, understanding the safety protocols, on-set etiquette, so much, and also the level at which you have to stay alert and awake. You're doing very long hour days, some where you're not doing anything, but you need to still be doing all the other management of cleaning up the spaces, doing training. I was really overwhelmed by the whole thing, but at the same time, it was amazing. I knew that I wanted to keep doing that. So after that job, I think it was a mixture of I did a decent enough job that people had spread the name. It's very much word of mouth. It can be. So some people felt they were comfortable sending me off to go try this person in your set. You need a brown person. Here you go. But also I talked to Maria Hippolyte, who'd been in the game a long time, and she sat me down and taught me about the BSR register. So she told me about the register, what I'd need to do to get onto it, and that really kind of opened the doors to training. And then it just kind of snowballed there. I think it's a mixture of luck, getting to know people. Luckily, the parkour skill really helped me adapt to the different movements, even if I didn't have a background in martial arts or so on. You learn so much about your body mechanics through parkour that you're able to adapt to the environment relatively well, and you can take hits, which is really important. And yeah, it just snowballed. I just kind of just got sucked into it, kind of thing.
Good, it's
So
the
yeah,
best way. That's yeah, it just was meant to be, and yeah, the
yeah,
people
it
you
just
met
felt
on that first job,
natural. Mm.
yeah, were really important actually.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know if that ever happened. I don't think I would have seen that world. It almost feels like it's invisible until someone shows you it. So
Hmm.
I didn't really think about it. I'd done a mocap job once, but even then, that was the odd thing.
Hmm.
So it just happened. I
Yeah,
really
I
enjoyed
think
it.
I think it's a lot of like not just stunts because obviously I don't work in stunts, but like
Mm.
who you know, but also how you show up to things. Like there's a
Mm.
reason why, for example, Fizz thought of you, and it's like the way you interact with people, the way you just go about life is really important because it is, it's kind of a annoying term to use, but it is networking. It is just like
Yeah, it is.
networking isn't. I used to think networking was like going to a specific event and walking into a room and networking with people, and I never do that, but or
Mm.
barely ever, really ever. But I meet people. I meet people all the time, and actually, you just never know who's going to give you the next job. And
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah. You really don't know, and because there's some will start off as a extra, then they'll go into stunts, and then they'll become a fight coordinator, then they'll become a coordinator, then they'll become a director. There's a whole
hmm
the career spans over a whole lifetime. So some people you've met before who maybe at the same time you were like, oh, you're a performer. Now suddenly they're the ones hiring you. So it's a
hmm
really I think anyone who's getting into stunts, I'd say, because of the people that I've met, um, well, for one, definitely your philosophy should definitely be treat everyone with care and respect, regardless. It doesn't matter. Like positions mean nothing. They're human beings, so don't ever. I think if you're looking down on people, you should really check yourself.
hmm
But in general as well, never take for granted all the encounters you have because you never know in the few years, there's been some situations where I've only met someone for a day. We just had a good day. That was it. Nothing came of it. And then years later, suddenly they're like, oh, I'll get a job hire. And they'll be like, oh, so and so recommended you. And I'm like, I haven't seen them in years. Um, so, yeah, never take for granted who might come to your aid or look out for you or how many people may think of you. So, all your interactions, no matter how short, they do matter.
hmm
And then yeah, for in general, because it's stunt, you've got celebrities and things like that. Really, always check your ego and make sure that you're still treating everyone with respect and care and looking out for your teammates rather than just how do you get the next job, because
Yeah.
everyone matters in that spectrum.
Yeah.
So take care of your, offer coffee and stuff to your teammates, not just your coordinator and things like that, because everyone
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good points. Were there many other women training with you when you started, or women who were already training
Yeah, it's kind of fuzzy. I
when you
think,
started parkour? I mean.
yeah. Yes and no. It's a different environment now than it was then. I
Hmm.
feel like things like competitions and social media has really, really changed the playing game. But when I first started, I think also my mindset has grown a lot since then. So I I did train with men, like guys, a lot more. There
Hmm.
was definitely more guys than girls. The ratio was definitely, but also I felt like in terms of performance athletes and competitive athletes who are training every day and make it their lifestyle, I think the environment I was in and the time, there would be women training and lots of women in the class, but not. The guys tended to have this very I don't know, it's their lifestyle.
Hmm.
Whereas ladies are coming in, it's for health and things like that. But there wasn't as much of for lack of a better word, the commitment was different to the sport.
Yeah.
And I think also, it's not just because that's just how it was. There's also the types of spaces created needed to foster allowing women space to be like, no, you could really make a career out of this. But I don't think that was as prevalent as it is today. Whereas now,
Hmm.
you could get a social media handle, you do some big moves, you can get a bigger following. The perception of what women are capable of has changed massively,
Yeah.
and that's just skyrocketed how much women are doing in the sport as well. So I think it was a kind of a catch-22.
Hmm.
So yeah, we had, growing up in the PK Gens kind of community, you did have, you had female coaches leading classes or helping out in the events. So they played a fundamental role of being like, hey, this is a pathway you can do of coaching, of leading classes. But in terms of the stuff I wanted to do, which was I like power moves, I like big jumps and things, there wasn't, at least I hadn't met anyone on the women's side that I could train those things with or learn to do that from as much as I could from the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
kind of it's not a simple way of putting it because of course there was women training.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, yeah, there was people like Fizz. There
Mm,
was people like Shirley probably at the time.
yeah.
Um, Shirley was quite an influential like coach. So for that kind of route, she was really like leading the women's classes, leading the regular
Mm,
classes,
mm.
and then running like the women's international parkour weekend, which when it started was
Yeah,
like
it's
a
cool.
huge thing with like over 100 women coming from across the world to train at Parkour Generations, and that was very, very cool, very cool moment. But like you say, for a lot of women, it was like a source of fitness. It was like something you did at the end of the working day, and it was
Yeah,
lovely. It was great to obviously train around women, but there weren't as many women trying to make it a career. And
yeah,
even for you or like for anyone at that time, that like in terms of role models, like there was maybe like Lucy Romberg and some older role models, but like there was in the States, there wasn't really like Katie McDonald is kind of your time or just before you, so she was probably not fully, she hadn't fully started yet, so there wasn't as many really people doing it and making it a career.
mm,
And then as you started, then some people like Lynn Young and Katie McDonald became more established. And then,
yeah,
yeah, like you say, it's kind of snowballed from that. Now I feel like women coming into parkour immediately feel like if they want to, it can be a career, whether it's stunts, whether it's coaching, whether it,
commercial
yeah,
competition, just
yeah,
being a social
competition,
media it's
yeah,
massive now.
yeah,
It's
dance
really the game's
performance,
changed massively.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Um, was there anyone, I guess female or male, like just anyone
mm,
that was influential in your training in the beginning? And the beginning
uh,
can be like I know you when you
yeah.
were just training parkour, there was like a few chapters to that, but like those first sort of 1 to 10 years of training, was there anyone or two people that you want to mention that you remember from then that were really influential? to you?
Um, so very, very beginning, and what kind of made like the people I looked up to, at least for the media we had, like YouTube and bloody Facebook, because
Yeah,
it
true,
wasn't really,
true.
TikTok and Instagram and stuff. So the like YouTube famous and stuff is like Daniel Backer and Damien Walters. And I have told them, because I'm cringy, because they work in the stunt industry now. When I've met them and worked with them, I'm like, by the way, did you know as a kid you made me do parkour? So yeah, I had to do that. It was necessary. Um, but they were the ones that, when I looked at their training, both the rare occasions, not Damien, I haven't seen him train in person, but Labaka and stuff, and that generation, seeing them train, I really wanted to hook into how they trained, because one, they were doing the big powerful moves, and that's kind of what lured me. I was like, I want that. It felt like that's what my body was designed more for. But also there was this, I don't know how to explain it, but when they trained, or when they would do these breaking jumps or these massive things, this maybe it is the older generation now more than the newer generation. I think it's changed with media and stuff, but because it was more for them, they would go out and do stuff, no one's seen it. But they had this serene calmness to them. Even
Hmm.
the old school coaches of PK Gen, that generation had this way of breaking jumps that was really beautiful to watch. There was none of this, yeah, let's go, fuck this, or get the camera out and do this. There was like this calmness that would come over them, this full acceptance, and the stuff they were doing, like, still now today, stuff that you look back at the old school lot doing is still incredible. But they had this complete, like, I'd say it was what I would consider was the flow state in terms of
Hmm.
mentality,
Hmm.
where they just accepted it, they did it, and it was beautiful to watch. It was such a calming thing, and I wanted that. I was like, I need to get to that stage where I'm not anxious anymore, I'm not doubting myself, I just want that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that was the kind of training I was looking up to. And to be honest, that was, I think, looking back now, I realized I didn't appreciate the training that the women are doing, or thinking about what they're having to go up against as compared to the men. Because whilst yes, the men were doing things that I wanted to do, that was a lot more to do with power and big jumps, they also had a different playing field to the women. When I was first training, I'd still have those things where it's like you'd be at a class and a guy or someone would go, "Oh, can I help you up?" That doesn't happen as much. Like, I don't see that now in training, but back then you would get that a lot. Or, well, let me help you lift this or that. And even though it's coming from a place of wanting to help, it's still coming from a place of going, you can't. I don't think you're able to do this without help.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that happened a lot, and I got very resentful towards that. I think that was what sparked a lot of the reason why I did the things I did, just to be like, no, yeah. um,
What's
I was
true?
an angry teenager. I wasn't very happy with the whole, like, as you become a teenager, suddenly you can't do the same thing as the boys. You're told to be ladylike, all this crap.
Yeah.
And it just made me very angry, and that is definitely a big part of what kick-started the whole the training the way I did. But
Yeah. And it's not a bad thing, and you kind of have to go through it to then have that
yeah,
maturity of like, actually, I don't need to be angry about it, but or I don't need to be angry at someone. But actually being a little bit angry is kind of a good thing if it gives you that like
yeah,
drive
it
of like,
motivates change. I think it can be
yeah,
a big tool for change.
yeah.
Um, but
Um,
I think there were women that influenced me, and I think I should have, well, not should have, should I say? I think it's that same thing of it was part of the process as an angry teenager. Um, and I felt like I had a lot to prove. But
mhm.
there were people like, for instance, Shirley, even I think when we did the women's event a couple of years back or something, BK Jen and Shirley turned up for that.
Oh
And
yeah, oh yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah.
realized just how much I was like, oh my God, it's Shirley. Because growing up, there was only a few women who were coaching, but she was one of them. Fizz, unfortunately, I didn't get to really experience what Fizz was capable in parkour because she had moved on to stunt, so I only saw it through videos. But
Hmm.
seeing her jumping across like gaps and things like that was really cool. And then
Hmm.
Shirley was so strong; she was such a
Hmm.
symbol of like power and strength. And
Hmm.
at the time when level 2 was really grueling,
Hmm.
now it's more focused on the coaching aspect, but back then it was seen as this very macho, really tough exam to become a lead coach.
Hmm.
And a lot of it was conditioning, and to be honest, it didn't really play as much into, well, people of different body shapes, thinking about women and stuff. So it was really tough to get in. So Shirley had done it. And I thought, wow, she is so freaking strong. That's amazing. I want to do, I'm going to be next. Um, so
She really had a calm confidence as well. Like I'm sure
did.
everyone has their
Yeah.
anxieties and their doubts, but her outward persona was very like calm, like social and bubbly, but quite calm, quiet.
Yeah, she was really caring to everyone.
Mm,
But also so strong, and I'd never seen that balance before. She was a
mm,
really good example of balancing the care, the love for the sport, and approaching it a calm way with she's super strong. Like
yeah,
she knows her stuff. Like she's amazing. And yeah, I think she was one of the women who, for me, was like, okay, I want to do that next. I'm gonna be like that. Okay, she's still doing the press up. I'm gonna do the press up. So yeah, I definitely like looked up to her. And then yeah, so that was really nice seeing her from an adult perspective, like coming up as an adult and then being in the sport and still being like, oh, Shirley.
yeah,
um, um, and then I'd say other key people. So there's obviously everyone has an impact on you, but I'd say, for instance, Yao has been pretty much, he's going to laugh at this, but you are a father figure to me in parkour. Yao, you know it, so shut up. But he has been that father figure, and he was one of the first people I'd say that I remember just not doing that treat of being like, oh wow, you can do that and you're a girl. There was that didn't come into context. It was just literally, oh, you like parkour, you got potential. I'll train you. I'll be your mentor. And Daniel, who was at Woodrow, who's doing a really good job of coaching now. He's lead coach at Esprit, so he was one of his mentors already. So it was us two there, and just being given the same challenges. There was no, okay, you do this because you're a girl, or you can have it easier. It was literally both get on with it. If you fail, laugh it off. If you don't, whatever. And so some of the key memories I remember of, like, I'd be very critical of myself. It didn't work out. I couldn't do this job. I'd be sat there with tears in my eyes, like, oh. And he'd just come over and laugh and just tell me get up and do it again. But even if I did something that Daniel couldn't, it wasn't like, oh, because this. I just
yeah,
felt like a
yeah,
person, and it was really nice and refreshing to just
yeah,
train without
yeah.
any of these things added to it. So um,
That's really
yeah,
good.
yeah, I would definitely be someone who's seen me throughout my journey. I think Casturi as well really taught me about asking those hard questions about who am I beyond all that. So I'll go into that a bit more, but yeah, those two as well have been really
Mhm.
key in my journey.
Was Yao quite strict with you in terms of body conditioning as well? Did he push
Mm.
you to be strong, or were
I
you
think well,
fit?
PK Gen in general had more of the, like, we still had a lot of the Yamakasi influence. I don't know what it's like now, but like those sessions with like Andy and all that stuff, all the old school coaches, they were brutal. They were pretty freaking brutal. And even if they gave the girls a harder time, I'd still go, no, I'm going to do it with my mates. And there was a group of guys that we became really good friends. So we were always trying to up one another. So you'd come back from lessons, and I just remember sitting in my chair like this and just be like, my body hurts. So training in general was a lot more Yamak style conditioning before and after a parkour session.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Yao's always made sure that we conditioned, so all the muscle ups and things we had to do. Um, that was it. It was just train. We saw carry him. He's a freaking heavy guy. I remember having to do that. So yeah.
I remember a really round. I have a very visual memory, and I remember a story from years ago
Oh god.
of you just writing about doing 5K runs, and that Yao was making you do it.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know,
He liked to
5K or
experiment
longer.
with his torture.
Say again.
He liked to experiment with his torture.
Yeah,
Every now and
I
then
remember
we'd go
you.
to training session and be like, all right, so we're gonna do this today. And then you just laugh and see how it came out. Yeah, it was, I'm probably blacking out most of the memories. I
Yeah,
remember one
I'm
session
sure.
where we were at like Leap Park, me and Daniel. We did the session, and then it was kind of raining. He's like, you need to do a muscle up by the end of this, or a certain set of muscle ups. Given I'd barely managed to get over this rail, he said, you can't leave the park until you get it done. It's taken us ages. And he was like, okay, I'm going home. See you later. We were just stuck there doing these muscle ups in the rain. Your dad was, he's like, okay, bye, see you. So yeah, there was very
Yeah.
funny, like almost anime style training sometimes. It was horrible at the time. I was very angry, but looking back at it, it was pretty funny. Uh,
Yeah, it was good.
yeah.
Let's see. Maybe we've answered some of these already. I wrote up sort of a trip down memory lane, some quick fire questions, and if a story comes out of them, fine, we can go off on a tangent. But I thought it'd be nice to take off. Let's see what you think of. Like, if you think of your favorite spot to train, there might not be one, but maybe one or two. But your favorite spot that you used to really love training at.
Mm, I think the top one is definitely Archway because that's been in my journey for as long as I can remember. Whereas some
I
have,
thought you were going to
unfortunately,
say
like
that.
old
I think of
Vauxhall's
you.
spots gone, so I
Yeah.
can't really. But yeah,
Oh
Archway I'd
yeah.
say is I love that spot. It's a massive area. You've got all sorts of lovely walls to go on, all sorts of different challenges. It was a nice space, and the community, the connection with the community over time grew. So then you go there, people knew who we were.
Mm.
Like you felt you were part of that community. So to the
Mm.
point that even in the leap, the park that we usually train in, neighbors would leave their kids in there because they felt, oh, it's fine. Yeah, go over there, stay in there for the day and have fun because they knew we were around and we were
Yeah.
safe generally. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was really, I say Archway is definitely my top tier.
So
I think
Archway
that's
being like outdoor spots. Then you mentioned Vauxhall, the old labyrinth that is gone now, which has been knocked down. And then Leap Park that you mentioned a few times is, for people who don't know, is a purpose-built like parkour park attached to an academy, which is over the years sometimes has been open to the public. I think now you have to sort of register to go in, but is a sort of rubberized floor and then lots of walls and bars and is a really cool parkour park in West London. Yeah, West London,
yeah.
Northwest
Yeah, it
London.
doesn't feel like it's as open now. Like we were able to get a lot
No,
more, but I think we were just jumping the fence to be honest most of the time.
maybe.
I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I don't think we ever
And
really
then
got in there allowed.
but they didn't care as much, and it's just like next to some tennis court or next to some football pitches.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
kind of the staff knew us because
um,
we had coached there.
yeah. And an archway is funny you say because I think of you. I think of many videos of you in archway, but also a girl came to London recently to train, and
Mm.
she was asking about spots, and she just sent me loads of really old Instagram posts from your account of you doing something at archway, and it was really funny because they were like, I was looking at them and I was like, these are so old. Like she must have scrolled back. And I was like, oh, that's so sick. Like Georgia did that and that. And like it was quite fun. It felt like new videos because I was like, oh, I've never seen that one. Oh,
Yeah,
I haven't seen this one. And there was a really nice
there's
one,
probably seen
where
that.
there's they were all Archway. Um, where there's the block spot at Archway, that sort of weird
Yeah,
square.
yeah,
Next to that, you do like next to that there's the ramp that people use to train
yeah,
on, like right all there, that whole spot bit there.
yeah.
You did the pre across between two walls, bounce the pre into a cat leap and then 180 back. Do you remember? There's like a
Oh
10
yeah, yeah,
foot
yeah,
standing
yeah, yeah, yeah.
two
I can't
walls, but they're
even.
quite high. They're like a little bit higher than me.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
there's
I
like
know what you're
three
talking
that
about.
instead of sticking it, bounce straight into arm jump, 180 back. And I was like, interesting. Never thought
Yeah,
of doing that.
those spots are amazing. I think you could
Yeah,
get so much out of them. It's just personally, I really liked it.
yeah.
It's
I like
just a
Archway.
yeah, and it was easy to get to as well. It was a nice one to get to.
hmm And then favorite breaking jump moment, if there is one. What's a jump that breaking jump being like when someone does a jump that scares you and that feels usually it feels possible, but it feels like also you scary and you doubt yourself. And then when you achieve the jump in parkour, we talk about breaking a jump. So
Yeah.
yeah, does one come to mind?
Um, it's because like especially when I flipped to do when I transitioned into working with Esprit, because a lot of it we did was to psychology and really diving into yourself. So I was learning a lot about myself at that time and also changing the way I trained. So we were doing a lot more of delving into what actually I was comfortable with, or the things that I wanted to do, but I was so scared. And that's where a lot of my breaking jumps were achieved, was with training with Esprit. Um, but for instance, the IMAX one, everyone kind of seen that jump, and it was this like, whoa, really cool jump. Even since I started, you'd just seen it on the old school YouTube videos, and so I knew I always wanted to do it. I didn't know how. I was just like, one day I'm going to do that. But when I got to it, I'd already known I could do it. It was not really. It was a breaking jump, but it wasn't in the breaking of that jump had happened throughout the process before. I'd got there already going, oh, okay, that's fine. And that peacefulness was there. And I think
Mm.
that's what I really loved about it, was that when I got to it, I think some of the fat guys with me there was like Arthur and stuff. Um, and I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm gonna like that. Some of the guys were doing it. I was like, oh, you know what? Actually, I had to look at it. When you go up onto the wall, you have a look at it.
Mhm.
Your brain makes its calculation. I was just like, oh, yeah, yeah. It's like at this point I've done harder jumps.
Okay,
Um,
that's good.
so yeah, I'd already known I'd pushed myself in other jumps that were harder physically. So it's just a case of putting
Yeah,
that into this section.
yeah,
And then it ends up going over instead. Or I was like,
yeah,
oh, this whole
yeah.
time. So I think that was my favorite one for understanding how much doing all the breaking your jump in the process allows you to already, when you get to that jump, it's just a matter of applying what you've always done. The
Hmm.
one that I'd say was more my favorite was actually the archway Kong. So, when you get out the station, they've painted the walls blue now, but
Mm-hmm.
there's that big Kong down. And again, that one's not as well known, but you see it in some of the old parkour stuff. And a lot of people do the Kong and the Kong dive out, and it was an old school Kong, but it was huge and it was to a thin wall.
Hmm.
So for me, that was scarier because my legs were my powerhouse. So if I'd bounce a jump, I felt pretty comfortable bouncing a jump. I knew it could take the impact at the time. But to go conging down into a gap where you're head first, and you have to commit, so you have to shoot first and then get your legs out, as opposed to jumping, you could back out with your legs.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was pretty scared of that one. And
Hmm.
so what we did, like with Casteria Yao and stuff, we would go to the spot, and this happened throughout like a year or something. It was kind of picked on. We were like, okay, yeah, I want to do this. And then we would go do our classes in Archway or something, or do team training, come to that spot, do all sorts of things around it. So we were doing things like conditioning around it. We were jumping down to the wall. We were doing cat leaps in between, and just slowly building up this visual and getting
Hmm.
familiar with the spot. And then one day I remember it happened. We had met up with some French team. They'd come down. I think there was an event, maybe a PK Gen event. And so we met them in Archway. We were doing all a day of training. It was all fun. And then they saw it and they're like, we're going to do this. So they all started to gear up for it, get it prepped. And then Jan Kasturi with me, and they're like, so? I was like, yeah. I was like, oh, I wasn't in the same state I was in the IMAX one, where I was like, yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I then put in all the preps that we had done before, because we had been building it up, did some jumps or kongs down to the flat floor next to it to visualize. And then and because the French team as well is our first time training together, so they had heard of me or seen some of my other videos, but I didn't even know I could do that. So they were also, you get apprehensive when you're not sure.
Hmm.
And it just happened. I just remember a few more jumps to the ground, Yao and Kasturi on the other end, because having someone down there, knowing that if something happens, I trust Yao and Kasturi in my life. I know they can catch me. They've done it before. So
Hmm.
knowing that I had my teammates with me, that if I do mess up, they're going to do their best to stop my head
Yeah.
smacking the floor.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. They're just gonna slow you down, that you'll
yeah,
still do the jump, but if for some reason you're falling backwards, they can just like kind of
yeah,
get
exactly.
underneath you.
Yeah,
Even
so
though
they're
we're not talking about crazy heights, but it's more the speed you put into it and then the
yeah,
speed at which you'd hit the floor. Because we're not talking, this is a jump that like the takeoff is probably chest height, and
yeah,
the landing, when you land on it, you're landing on a wall that is again like ribs height. It's not like death. It's just
Yeah, it's
because
all
the way you land.
it's
Yeah.
dropping down into it. So it's like the column
Yeah.
walls here, then the pre-walls here. So you're dropping, you're suddenly seeing this massive
Yeah.
space because now you know you're much higher on this side
Yeah.
than you are on that side. So you go over this gap, you've got this little thin wall that you're supposed to go to, and you're just hoping because you couldn't see it the whole time. You're hoping you put the right amount of push and accuracy
Mm,
and power. So it's like a whereas a lot of the jumps you can see them. So as you're going, you adjust how much you put in. There, all you see is the wall. And then once you're over the wall, it's already too late. So whatever you've done, you're hoping you got your calculations right.
yeah. It's
Because that's
mental.
also a tiny wall to either
Yeah.
slip on or knock you, it would hurt.
Yeah.
Um, so I was scared of the pain, but also the not knowing. I think uncertainty for me has always been a big thing that I struggle with. So the uncertainty of only seeing the wall, not seeing where I'm going to until it's too late,
Hmm.
really like I struggle with um I guess believing in myself in those particular areas. But I just remember when we decided it was time to go, those two looked at me, the calmness came over. So it's all anxiety. It's like, and then I took the step back. I was like, okay, I only need this amount of power. I've practiced it. They were there. They just gave me the nod. It all went quiet because the French guys also, they're really lovely to train with. There's none of that, come on, all this. It was all just quiet and peaceful. And it's on the pathway so you can hear people just walking by because it's on a public street. And it was a nice sunny day. And everything just went calm and serene. And then it was just like, okay, you take one look up at the sky, look around. It's just like there's like a this I don't know, it's like clicks. It's like a you just accept
Hmm.
and you just let things happen and then you just run and then nice tap, you hear all the sounds. You see the landing, you land on it, go over, it's fine. Nice pre, go down. And then everything comes up after because you do it and it's so peaceful and serene and it just happens. And then once you land and you look around and they're looking at you and you're looking at them and you're like, it's happened. And I remember that one, I think, generally made tears come to my eye because I was like,
Yeah.
I was so scared of it.
Yeah.
Uh, whereas the IMAX one, I was like, I know I can do it. But that
Yeah.
one really was like, shit,
Is
this
that
is,
sense of relief? It went well.
yeah, I was really, I think that one because there's so much that we did in the process leading up to it. And I really wanted to do it. And it was not something that I'd got to at the time and being like, yeah, I already got it in the bag. It was still, ooh, ooh,
Mm,
and then
mm,
just find bringing myself to that point that I'd seen when I'd see the back and them lot train. So I was really, really happy that I got to experience that feeling as well. I
mhm.
managed to, even just for that moment, feel that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was like
Yeah.
it's one of the best things when you feel you can fly. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I think that's what I miss a lot is that feeling of just like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah, and actually there's this like because that's quite a long jump. It probably wasn't your max, but like it's a long jump. The worst part of it is you can't see the landing
yeah.
and that it's quite a small wall
Yeah.
that you're aiming for. But then also there's this sense of like yes, parkour hurts and we take a lot of impact and all that, but actually when you do it right, it feels light. Like
Oh,
when you say
so
that sense of
beautiful.
flying.
Yeah, I think in those breaking jumps there wasn't. I think I tried to write it down because like I can't remember all my thoughts, but it's that as you said, the pain go. There's not a pain to it. It flows. It is the flow state. Is
Yeah.
part of that flow state. It's that everything just flows. Your
Yeah.
body and your mind connect. You just do, and like even the IMAX one, I felt like I was flying. It was just like power. You're just like, ah, this is fun, and then the landing comes to you, and then you're like, oh, this is nice. But yeah, it's an amazing feeling when you, especially for the big jumps where you're in the air for so long, or the high
Hmm.
jumps where you're in the air for so long. There's this, yeah, it's just magic. It's
Yeah.
absolutely magic.
And then the IMAX jump that you mentioned is like it's a really long running pre
Yeah,
that
you're in there
only
for,
a handful of women have done, like
yeah,
you and Lola.
yeah, Lola.
I don't know if anyone else.
I don't know.
I
There was
can't
something funny
remember.
as well that when I did it and I messaged because Jan Kasturi weren't with me at the time because I'd gone out with the Fat Boys and them lot. I told them I was like, oh my God, guys, look. sent the video. I was like, look, I did it. I fucking did it. And obviously, when I put it up, it's like, oh, first woman, all this stuff. And it did get to my head. I was like, oh, yeah, yeah. And then I remember Yao being like, I can't remember if it was Yao or Kasturi, who was just like, yeah, but you don't know. Someone could have done it and not filmed it. So never think you're just, oh, because I filmed it, therefore I'm the first.
Yeah,
So
people always say that.
and
They're always
then
like, oh, we don't know.
ironically then seeing, because I saw Lola at the workshop thing, we were talking about it, but when she posted herself doing it, obviously then the comments again were first woman this, and then like Arthur or them was like message like, no, I was with Georgia, she did it in 2019. I was like, oh yeah. But ironically, the lesson that they were teaching me at the time of don't just say you're the, because you don't know who's actually done it.
Yeah.
Ironically became that example later, and I was like,
that's so funny.
Yeah.
That's so funny because there's been quite a gap. Because Lola did it this year or last year, so 2025, 2024. So 2019 to 2024 is 5 years. Lola probably wasn't training in 2019. Like, so she's really young. She's like 18, 19, I think.
Yeah.
She's also really small. She's short and petite. So she's actually like,
God, can she freaking go for it?
Yeah.
She goes hell for leather on things.
Yeah, she's definitely one to watch. She's already in the stunt world, so it'll be interesting to see. Like you say, she may end up having to prioritize that career.
I hope not. I hope like
right now,
I don't know how.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, she's this 18-year-old bouncy ball that just bounces off of things. So she might
condition. It gets worse.
Yeah. She's so sendy. But that big running pre, that is a really long running pre. I don't know in our feet, but maybe like 13, maybe more. It's a long running pre. What did because you mentioned there was something when by the time you got there you knew you had it because you'd done things that were required physically more power. Were you doing specifically like other big running jumps around London, or was there something else you did to prepare for that running pre?
I think it was a mixture of like, so mentally wise, I'd really, because I don't know what age I was now. But when I first started performing and stuff, I was still like being a waitress, I was still at school. And then I'd really, when I joined Esprit, I was at like a fork in the path. So it was either I go to uni at that point, I got acceptance for mechanical engineering in Queen Mary's or something.
Yeah.
It's either I go to uni and I pursue that path, which I was really fond of science. I had another space that I wanted to occupy, and I really wanted to get into physics and all that stuff. I was a big nerd for that. And so but then at the same time, Stu and Yao had just started Esprit, and they had sat me down, talked to me and said, look, there's a space for you if you want to do this as a career. We want to support you in that, and it's there for you. And so I was in that fork where it's like, do I go to uni and I come back to training later and I focus on that and that will be my life, or do I make parkour my life? And I chose parkour because one, as well, I was like, well, your body's not going to be forever at the peak of its physical fitness, so I can always go back to uni even at an old age. But I just felt like that was the one. I picked that one. So when that happened, I had really kind of locked into that being my lifestyle. And it became me, basically. And so we were doing it all the time. I was coaching it, I was performing it, we were training it. And so because it was just part of everyday life, my mindset had obviously gotten a lot more adapted to just doing stuff anyway. So the fear factor or the fear management was a lot different. And then there was jumps I was doing. Like there was one with one of the fat boys. Where were we? I think it's Embankment. There's a particular jump that allowed me to go power wise. I know what I need to put in to get this jump and overpower this IMAX jump. It was it's a running up jump, so it's just by the riverbank. You probably know it, but it's a load of little logs. There's little like logs. It's for kids.
I know what you mean.
There's that wall that's sloped right at the back over that side of it. So distance wise, I think it's maybe a tiny bit shorter or something. It's still a massive distance, but it's up and there's not much run up. So it forced you to put as much power as you can in the small run up. You had to go up, so you were having to get used to driving your knee up, getting a good bounce back, all this stuff. And so by the time I was getting that one, that had already been a part of the data process going, okay, when I saw the other jump, I'd done so many jumps now that memory wise, as soon as I got up on the wall and saw IMAX, my brain went, well, this looks smaller than this, or it looks shorter than the other one you just did. And once you've tuned your body into doing those jumps, when you see it, it's just a matter of going, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. And
Yeah.
I wasn't as, I was still nervous about it. I was still like, ooh, it's the jump. I've seen this since I was a kid. This is an important moment for me, to actually give this a go for real.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was just, yeah, at that point it was like,
Amazing.
okay, my brain had been tuned to so many jumps before that it didn't have as much oomph by that point.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Yeah, my brain was
Interesting.
new.
Very interesting. But yes, I recognize that feeling as well. You kind of got there and it didn't look as big in a way. It was like,
Yeah.
okay, we've done this.
Ah, this
It's
is
kind of a nice
familiar.
feeling. Then you have to feel, you still have to do it.
Yeah,
You
you still
still have
have
to
to.
run.
But it's yeah, it's amazing. I think that's one thing I love about parkour is how it shows you just how amazing the human body can be and how
Mhm.
fine-tuned it becomes to an environment that, if I looked at it now, if I went over there and looked at it again, I'd probably be more shit scared about, ooh, how do I do that? But when you get your body and brain conditioned to an environment so daily,
Mhm.
the things that you see that people go, oh, that's crazy, they can do that. That's not crazy. They've been doing that and all sorts of variations of it daily for
Mhm.
years.
Yeah.
It's just how the body works. But it's amazing that the body can do that.
Yeah.
And it can fine tune and everything kind of
Yeah.
fine tunes to being able to just give you those, I guess. Yeah, the output is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing. I think watching parkour is one of the most amazing things. Seeing what the body can do is just, yeah, I don't know, it's amazing to see. And it is just that repetition, repetition, repetition.
Mm,
Like when people are pushing themselves, they really are pushing themselves outside their comfort zone by this little amount that to
mm.
someone passing by might seem like completely ridiculous, but to us and them, it's like, no, no, like we've seen them do this before.
Yeah,
This
it's
is
just
just like they're
perspectives.
leveling up, like a
Yeah,
little bit, but it's not like wildly inappropriate.
yeah,
But it's amazing, yeah, what we can do with our bodies. Yeah.
yeah.
The last few things. So, I read this out to you already, but there was a sweet message from Matt from Sunday Super XXL, which is our community group, saying, "Why haven't you been to Super in ages? We miss you." Which you've answered why you haven't, but yes.
Yes. Sorry, Matt. It's healed now. Look, it's in. Look at that. It's pretty good, isn't it? Huh? Look at that. Oh, and it's got some form of. I mean, we're kind of there. It's not quite ready for bounce offs yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
It's
Um,
literally just. I think after because that day that I came for XXL, I still very much had that kind of. Um, it's similar to when I first started. It's this. I can be pretty let my ego get ahead of me of like, I should be able to do this. Remember what I could do. Why can't I do this? And I let it get to my head. And especially when we were doing the challenges, I was like, yeah, I was getting that feel again of being able to do who I like. I guess I'd attached so much of my identity to that person in parkour of me that when I transitioned to something else, I felt like I lost me. I had a really big kind of identity crisis, should I say? So I'm still working through it. I still very much miss that me, but
mhm.
I think I'm beginning to learn that the spark or the thing that made me who I was in parkour is still me. It's just being used elsewhere at the moment. So
Yeah.
I'm really working on creating a space for myself in the stunt world, and it's really working well. And I'm realizing that spark in me can be applied to the why work or the performance stuff. I friggin' love it.
Yeah.
But you need to focus on things. You can't
Yeah.
just throw yourself at so many things and expect it to perform at the highest point. So I'm forcing myself to very lightly train occasionally, but focus on doing those goals first, getting that stuff done, so that then I can have that space to then enjoy coming back to XSL, things like that. Because, for instance, when I get injured, it's not just simply a big shock to the system and, to my confidence, but also I can't work. And if I can't work, well, I've kind of thrown all my eggs in my basket at this point. So no work means I am kind of broke. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's being an adulting. I'm
Yeah.
adulting. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess this chapter is about, getting on the British Stunt Register and therefore a lot of training. It's nice to see you've been to like Rugby Parkour Park and can
Yeah.
keep a little bit of those impacts in. And also there's, as you know well, there's like lots of ways to train parkour, like a more softer, more
Yeah.
acrobatic or more dance approach. And
Mm.
that's a nice way to ease back into the bigger jumps. But your body's still very strong, so I'm sure you'll be back doing some
Yeah,
jumps.
I'll be back. I just need to do other things first. Okay. I'm not very good at multitasking, Matt. But I will
No,
be back. I just
yeah,
need to create that space. So first I need to work on the other things that are occupying the space. But I love
yeah.
you guys. I don't miss you.
And then I have a quote here from Nigel from Super XXL. Oh, oh,
Yeah, quote. Wow.
oh, someone's calling, an unknown number. Right,
Nigel.
let's ignore that. Nigel's calling.
You're
But
so
yeah, a quote from Nigel from Sunday Super XXL, although I was going to say from FemGaps, but also Sunday Super XXL. And she just says to you, she asks some of the questions about like the running jump as well at IMAX and women who are, or men or people who are influencing your training, etc. Some of the questions I've asked today. But she also says, please let her know that we all talk about her very highly in the community. And your name does come up frequently, especially as an example of like, oh yeah, Georgia did that, or even just more nostalgic of like, yeah, your Georgia was really strong at that. Your name does come up frequently, and we all think very highly of you. So sorry to make you blush, but
Don't make me cry, please. Please. I've done very well not to. Thank you very
but yeah,
much.
it feels like you're
It's
still, yeah, still a
Oh
part of the
yeah, no, don't
community.
worry, I'm not done. Don't worry about that. I've put this has been it's a lifestyle in the most cringiest way I can put it. Parkour has always still been a lifestyle for me, since I was a kid it's part of me. So don't worry, even though I'm being quiet on social media, I'm very much still parkour, cheesy, cringy, nerdy girl. I'm just literally just focusing on stuff at the moment and trying not to injure myself further because I can be very stubborn and yes, so it's just a bit of management. But yeah, I think it's thank you because it's a massive, massive honor. I don't know how much I deserve that, but it's really nice to know that I've helped have a positive effect on the community. That's,
Mhm.
I think, the first time that I really felt part of a huge family. I think that's why I miss it so much because it's not necessarily the jumps or anything like that, or it's even the social media presence. Probably why I don't post as much. I never really got on that train, guys. I'm trying to be more Insta aware, but sorry. But it is very much what I'm missing is the people and the space and I think the parkour community, the Art de Déplacement community through running. It's such an incredible space. There's amazing people. It holds my family. It holds my friends. I met my partner through parkour, so it's very much it's a part of me. And even coaching, occasionally I'll come for a workshop and stuff, but I really miss that. I really miss the students, the kids we were teaching. So if I dwell on it too long, it makes me want to cry. But just know that, yeah, absolutely. When I have a bit more space, I will be more present. So
Yeah,
yeah, love you
yeah,
guys.
yeah, yeah, and not to put pressure on you. What you're doing is incredible and sounds really fun, and it's great to see. One of the things I've been talking to a lot of people about at the moment is we're trying to grow the industry of parkour, as in the economy, the opportunity for people to have a career in parkour. Like this is for
Mm,
parkour people, and we want parkour people to be able to have a career that involves parkour, and that
yeah,
has only been possible for a few people to really, really make it their full-time job. So
yeah,
I want that for everyone who wants that, and so it's good that you're doing what you're doing, even though okay, maybe it's a slight sidestep, but it's not. It's like taking parkour, and parkour is what allowed you to get into this career, which is now a successful career and something that, fully sustains your life. So that's what we want more of. So keep doing what
Yeah,
you're doing,
and
and
it's evolving, and um, also that's something that when I'm more established or have had a bit more time in the careers to hopefully get parkour involved more as a skill as well to
Mhm,
learn. I feel
mhm,
like that's something it can really
mhm.
it deserves to have a bit more space. So that's something that I'll hopefully be using my coaching to help create
Yeah,
over the
yeah,
years. Um, but yeah, first got to get all the other skills and kind of get in
yeah,
there, and then it'll happen. But absolutely, if there's anyone who's looking to get into stunts or just generally performing and stuff, and you just want to message or just ask about it, or even just what it's like, or if you're trying to do the register, absolutely, I'd love to chat or do whatever I can to kind of help or give some pointers,
mhm,
or even to train it. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Um,
I think something that'd be really cool, and this is genuinely just a what's the word, like an initial idea, but it'd be really cool to have almost like a mentorship or something where
mm,
people who have more experience, stunts or other, like
yeah,
I'm running a coaching business that is my full-time job now, and how I did that and how people got into stunts and anything like that, performance and dance, like Lou, it would be cool to eventually have almost like a mentorship where people can go to figure out what their path, what their career might look like, or they know they want to work with parkour and they're not sure exactly how to do that. Like having like, I don't know, some sort of mentorship where you can connect people as mentors with people who are
yeah,
early on in that journey. And also to support them and to defend them in some ways, like the first stunt jobs. If I think of the first stunt job, I'd be like, oh, I wonder what's acceptable in terms of a
yeah,
rate, like a day rate, or what should they expect in terms of safety protocols, etc.
yeah.
So like stuff like that would be so valuable. So who knows, maybe one day we'll have some sort of
Maybe we'll have
support
to have a little
system.
talk about arranging
Sort of,
something like that. I
I
think
think it'd be very cool.
absolutely this. I'm in the same mindset as you with that's definitely something that needs to uh, become a thing.
Yeah.
So I'm absolutely in that. Is how to go about it. But if there's more brains
Mhm.
also thinking the same, then maybe we can come up with something. Because absolutely, I
Exactly.
think that's one way that at least we can give back to the community. It's helping, form more of the pathways for work. Because I mean, the amount of incredible athletes there are, but
Yeah.
pay gap to how much you can perform and what you're capable of is huge,
Yeah.
massively huge in parkour.
Yeah.
So absolutely, I think there's definitely a space that
Yeah.
if we create that, yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's definitely in the works.
I think there's is something that can come. So yeah. Watch
Mm,
this space. We shall see.
yeah.
But right, we should wrap it up there. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been really nice to chat,
Thank
and
you.
I hope you guys have enjoyed listening as well. You can leave a comment below for Georgia. You can follow Georgia on Instagram. What is your Instagram handle?
Georgia underscore Munroe underscore PK. I haven't changed in years. It's
Perfect.
the old school
Simple.
PK.
There you go. And you can follow Georgia there and see what she's up to. I've seen you've recently posted a little bit about some of the jobs you're on, so it can be definitely fun to follow Georgia there. And I will be back with another episode every Monday, so I will be back in your ears very soon. But thank you, Georgia, and
Thank
it's been
you.
lovely to catch up.
Love to catch up with you too. Bye, everyone. Bye.
Bye.